Well, can you believe it? We are back here with our second panel discussion of the day, together with Lauri, Carlos and Johan. And of course, you, the audience, are again invited, as you have done so far, to submit your own questions and upvote other people's questions so that I can ask them to these lovely gentlemen with me here on stage. So I guess the very first thing here is that we have people only from the private sector this time, but some of you have already worked together with the government as well. I guess my first question would be, to some extent you all deal with customer experience improvement, I think it's fair to say. Some more at the back end, some more at the front end. Do you feel like different branches, different industries, whether it's the banking sector or insurance or anything like that, whether some are more open to your solutions than others? And maybe if you can also philosophize a bit why that might be the case. Johan.
Very good question. Again, like always.
Well, this is what we do at the Briefing Center, yeah?
I think it depends largely whether it's business to customer or the end customer or business to business. If we're talking about business to business, then at least what I see is that the customers are really eager to use the possibilities and to get better in their inner processes is one thing, and to show to others that they are innovative. It's kind of greenwashing or it's IT washing, smart washing. So that works. And if they start with the idea just to play around with the idea and they see the first benefits, then it starts getting interesting. And then usually, as I told before, they want more.
AI as a gateway drug.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
That sounds lovely. So don't take drugs, people, but do take AI every now and then.
Use AI.
Yes, please. Yes.
I believe there is an aspect of what is it that you're selling as well. There are industries where the product is something physical, right? You can see it, you can touch it. But Glia is really focused on financial services, and there what you're selling is that relationship that you have with your bank or with your insurance company. Is intangible, is how they make you feel, how much effort does it take for me to interact with them. And I think like in that kind of industry, they're very mindful of how we can make the customer experience better, how we can make the member experience better, how we can retain them, how we can upsell them. And all that is about the experience.
I suppose that money is a highly personal thing as well. And if we would think about the insurance, I don't know, at least in my head, this is something where I think, oh, I have to do the insurance. But with money, it's like, oh, this is about my money. This is a very different emotional approach that most people have towards
and your expectations are also different, because if you have $1 million in the bank, right, you will expect a bit different experience.
Hypothetically, the
hypothetically,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, like dreaming a little bit.
Yes.
Your expectations in terms of how the relationship should feel, look like, how much effort you have to put into it, are different as well.
Lauri,
I fully agree that actually the relationships makes a difference here, because we have a different relationship with our financial service provider or with the government, and also the enterprises or the governments are a bit differently driven. Some of them are looking for keeping the highest experience but lowering the cost, meaning that really good automation. On the government side, there is more like managing the risk that we are exposing some answers that we should not respond to the customers, that we are saying something wrong. So we see actually in the phone calls when we apply the analytics that there are different angles, that some of the customers are looking for a quality improvement. Some of the customers or clients are looking for, especially for this experience improvement. And it's actually so little that you need to do over the phone to provide that kind of perceptional experience. It was a good result. It's just could be like some words, the same amount, but they deliver different experience. And this is different. The governments are more like on how to ensure that we don't deliver the wrong information. And even if it takes time, doesn't matter. If it's repeatable, doesn't matter. But the banks and the fintech is more like, okay, what is the actual perform the experience, perception that the customer got at the end, because we need to get the customers coming back. We all go back to the government, you know.
We had this conversation in the previous panel discussion as well, that you want to be sure that somehow AI provides a better result than the human would. And if we talk about the information that comes from the public sector, very often it is conflicting. Like if you have 3 help desks in a government agency, person 1 may be awesome, they've worked there for 20 years, they know all the regulations. Person 2 had a tough night last night, is still hungover. So the quality can differ very drastically, but still we have this expectation towards AI that it just does everything 100% perfectly, and maybe that's not quite.
But there can be an opportunity as well, because
how
you can you're thinking about, is it the interaction handled by the virtual assistant only or human assistant only? What about if they collaborate?
Yes.
What if the virtual assistant is there to assist the agent, who is maybe having a bad night, with suggestions, like sensing what is the tone of the conversation, kind of monitoring in a way. Not to tell the operator, the agent, what to do, but more to suggest what the right direction of the conversation should be. So I think that's what we advocate in Glia, a collaboration of virtual assistants, live assistants. Automation is there to serve the operator, to serve the customer.
Yeah. I do have to ask, sorry, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's the same thing for us, that we start with separate entities, AI and the person, and then we start putting them together. That AI helps the human and human helps the AI. So eventually they can be as one. That AI is a part of the process, normal part of the process of a person, and the person doesn't even notice it. So it's just logical.
I have one specific question for Lauri, just because you brought up the smaller languages during your pitch as well. So obviously different cultures are differently expressive with how they feel about things. So it's not just about understanding the words that they're saying, and maybe there are some abbreviations or anything like that, but also is what they are saying actually how they feel? Was that a challenge for you as
Definitely.
you went into?
Let me give you that kind of numerical experiment results or sample. In States, when they do the sales calls, they say that if you do 180 words per minute, you're too fast. 170 is okay. In Estonia, people speak 130 words per minute, but if you go to the Finland, not more than 110. So even with the speed of talk is something that customers might feel impolite if the agent is talking too fast or faster than they do. There are a lot of cultural things, and especially in the vocabulary. If you can track those items, maybe there are some wordings that you should actually avoid using. On the other hand, you could actually bring in some new vocabulary that actually empowers. Because actually what I see is that the AI is not replacing the humans. It will not happen in the future, but it will actually empower us. It will empower us with small items that will actually make us better actors, better presenters, better service agent to provide you experience that you were actually expecting to have, or we even exceeding that.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. That's hopefully the role that AI can play, and all the different tools that we have at our disposal. Something that came up in my mind when you mentioned the different industries that you focus on was, in some cases of new technology, you've got these moments where one player in an industry implements it, and then all of the others are dragged down the same rabbit hole because they have to provide a similar experience to their customers because they now expect it as standard. Have you had these experiences as well, that whether it's yourself or against a competitor, that some solution was implemented and then the others approached you and said hey, we need something similar because this sounds really good? Have you had something like this before?
In our case,
yes.
As I mentioned, we are focused on financial services. In North America, there is the concept of credit unions,
yes.
kind of small financial institutions. And we have seen there that we're kind of setting the expectation of how digital communication should be, and that's kind of creating the following effect. Like you see it once, you expect it to see it next. So yes, certainly we are seeing more of that, particularly in scenarios where we have hybrid experiences, where you have some automation built in, and then you just look the human at the right time.
Yeah.
That makes that transition made seamlessly, sets the bar very high on expectations from customers in our case.
Yeah. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, it's just this is something that is happening with us now, because just a sample, if you set up a website, you never will make it without the Google Analytics or similar to that. You want to see what is happening there.
Yeah.
And the same approach now is actually transition to the customer conversations. You really want to follow what is there, because this is the source where you can actually derive a new information without asking the customer.
Yeah.
No, without doing it, without any survey, you can actually see and feel what was the conversation. And this has been like an eye-opening for our customers, and feeling this empowerment that actually it is received from visibility. Just think about that. If you're reading a management summary, you look through the text. Okay, this was wrong, but what did they talk there?
How's the temperature in the room?
Yeah, you're keen on actually to follow the conversation, and that's what we now provide for phone calls in customer service, and it will provide you a full visibility there.
Yeah. I don't know about, you wanted to add something as well, or?
If I may.
Yeah, of course, please. Yes, of course.
The same thing that as one sector that we work in is logistics, and if the competitor sees that one logistics company is doing a great job understanding everything about their customers and then keeping them, then others want it as well, and really fast. Then the question is, how fast can I get it?
And how fast can you get it?
Depending. Everything depends in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps one question from my side. I don't know about you guys, but when the first chatbots started popping up in the sort of early 2010s, I've had really rubbish experiences with them. So you would say, how can I help? And then you say, I need to buy XYZ, and then it says, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. Please call, or help yourself some other way. And so I suppose that this put off some people who tried to be first early adopters, but the technology just wasn't there. What would you say to the people that were sort of put off by the first generation of all of these tools, where maybe the voice recognition didn't understand half of the words, or maybe the AI gave the wrong solutions or a wrong help? What would you say to them? What has changed over the last 5 to 10 years, where we can really say this is now demonstrably better than it used to be?
I don't know about it too much, but I know two things. That first of all, the most monetized AI solution in the world is chatbots. And the other thing is that you can get a chatbot for €1 and 5 million euros. So there is a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Now the experts will continue.
I think that there have been great technological advances in the last few years. I think in addition to that, what I have seen is that companies are starting to understand that they shouldn't introduce bots or automation for sake of introducing bots or automation. You should have a problem that you're looking to solve, and technology at the end of the day is just a tool, right? And then in our experience, our customers are architecting not only one piece of the stack, but truly understanding how this piece fits into the big scheme of things, the customer journey in a way. So bringing automation at the right times in the right way, reading the room, reading the customer's digital body language, how they're feeling, is really important. And I think businesses now understand that a bit better, and companies like ours are trying to educate and advise the industry that way.
It's very difficult for some people, myself included, to say no to a customer, to say like, oh, this is something that XYZ cannot solve right now, or you are wasting your money here, maybe you can try X instead. So I guess this is also something where humans both fear AI and also sort of praise AI at the same time, that it can be the silver bullet that solves all of your problems. So this is, I guess, a task that all of you have to be very realistic about what you can deliver and in what time frame and where maybe the data quality needs to be better in order for you to be able to provide these things. So yeah, very, very true. Lauri?
Yeah, I would add that people over the years, people have learned that you cannot have one generic bot doing everything. Yeah. It's more than do it for a specific purpose, because it's with our kids. You know, you cannot teach them to be the doctor on physics, one by one, or to have all them doctor of physics. The other thing is that if we intentionally train them for specific task, then you can really get that kind of good experience, and it actually works really well. You know, just try out the Glia bots; they work really well. On the other hand, the ones who are developing have learned now how to make them. It's not that simple, because the language that we use is so variable. It is so ambiguous that you don't know, the same sentence could actually mean a bit different things. And then it's not that simple to actually train them.
Yeah.
But definitely the performance has increased a lot. And now it's actually providing the business outcome if you use it in the right place, in the right scope.
We are reaching the end of our panel discussion, but we have one last question from the audience. So maybe just a very quick one-sentence answer, sort of a yes or no, and then a why. What is your experience from collaborating with government organizations? Is the receptiveness and willingness to invest into new solutions in customer service, such as AI, comparable to that of the private sector or not? Johan?
Depending on the country, governments are a bit different, and that is why it's different. But some countries like it more than others.
Can we put Estonia on that list?
Estonia, yes.
Thank you. Good. Check. That's all I wanted to know. Yes, Carlos.
Yeah, I think there is the intent of using more automation and AI. I guess the hurdles are more around security, privacy, and that kind of gets into a little bit of conflict with innovation, and that's always the challenge, right? To have the right balance in between innovating fast enough and not being blocked by protecting data and being secure.
Very true.
I would say they are equal. Both are government and private sector. They are eager, at least for the government, for the customer service analytics. We have run more than 8 pilots. We have some production setups with Estonian government offices. More than 1 million calls have been analyzed already. And we also lately extended this to a Finnish government with the Finnish Social Security Agency, run a pilot in Finnish language, fully in their premises. You know, the security is the one of their extreme issue. So they are similar. The angle is a bit different, but they really want to experiment.
The desire is there.
Yeah, the desire is there.
Good. That's all we want to hear. This is very encouraging stuff, both from the public and from the private sector. Thank you so much to the dear audience for your questions. Thank you to the panelists, of course, for joining us today, both with the pitches and for the panel discussion itself.